Recently, I teamed up with my friend Dan, you might know him as Disney Dan here on YouTube, to work on this super cool Haunted Mansion artwork to correspond with a cool lo-fi remix of the Haunted Mansion music. I thought the video came out really well and Dan's animation really brought it to life, so I thought it might be appropriate for this spooky season to not only talk about my process of creating this artwork, but also talk about some of my fond memories with the Haunted Mansion. So let's get started. So this time-lapse footage will go relatively quickly. It's pulled right from Procreate because this piece took, I think, between 9 and 10 hours to create from beginning to end, and I didn't want to store that many gigabytes of raw, just screen recording footage on my iPad. It would have eaten up so much space, so I just let Procreate do the heavy lifting as far as the time-lapse, so I apologize if it goes by very quickly. I had worked out a very rough sketch and a couple modifications to it before I moved on to this inking phase, so the time-lapse really starts at the inking phase. It took me a while to kind of plot out the layout. At first it started with the hallway where there's that cool clock with the face on it. If you guys have been on the Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland or Disney World, there's this clock that has a face on it, and that's kind of the hall that's adjacent to the seance room with Madame Leota and all the floating objects. So it started as that first, but then it felt very cramped and claustrophobic because there was no windows. So Dan and I made the decision that we would go with the greenhouse room where there's this coffin and all these nice big windows. And I made sure to make that whole wall windows where we could put trees and, sky, and it felt much less claustrophobic, and it also fit the kind of lo-fi chill vibe a little bit better than like a cramped hallway. So all in all, that was a really positive change. So it was Dan's idea to do as many musical things as possible that were floating, because I think at first the idea was just the things that are actually in the seance room, so like harp, lamp, drum, trumpet, cymbals, stuff that's actually on the Haunted Mansion ride. And then that expanded to other musical things, so it's like have a record player, have a gramophone, have an iPod, have an iPhone, have a laptop, like any kind of blend of modern and old school ways to play music. And I went forward with that, and I wanted to put the little the rotten apple on the back of the MacBook instead of the typical apple, because I thought that would be a cute touch. And somebody in the video in the comments actually noticed, so I thought that was a nice little Easter egg for people paying attention to the artwork. And in addition to making the lines thin, another challenge for me was I don't typically draw a lot of environments, and also getting good reference for the colors was kind of difficult. So theme parks like to use, different kinds of lighting to enhance the mood and make these like realer than real and, hyper real and idealistic situations. And it's really hard to capture on camera. Even the best 4K footage you can find of the Haunted Mansion ride through on YouTube or anywhere else will not look the same as it looks with your eyes. It's just a different experience, which is why people pay big bucks to go to these theme parks and experience it in person, is because the ride-through footage just doesn't do these things justice. There's something about this lighting that enhances reality in a way that makes it much more interesting. And there's always these really colorful lights, even in a spooky themed ride. There's a lot of blue light, there's a lot of green light, there's a lot of red and pink and purple. Every color you can imagine makes these really beautiful scenes come to life. And so I wanted to make this hyper, idealized version of a Disney ride in terms of the color palette. And I also wanted to marry that with again, lo-fi YouTube aesthetics where they use a lot of 80s neon type colors, or if they use more chill bedroom settings, it's usually pinks and purples and blues and colors that are more relaxing. So I tried to keep all these things in mind when designing this environment, marrying the lo-fi aesthetic with the Disney ride aesthetic and also making it feel true to the ride. And especially this year, I really wanted to make an effort to bring that little slice of Disney in this art. And for people who aren't able to visit a Disney park, either because it's closed or because it's a pandemic. And I think there's been a lot of ado about Disney adults who are Disney freaks and they need their Disney fix and all this, but I think there is a certain magic in what Disney does, and especially the Haunted Mansion and this time of year. If you've ever been, especially with family or friends, these places are, lovingly crafted to create a sense of joy and happiness, and you only can get memories like that when you bring somebody to a park like this to go through a ride like this. So I think those memories are very special to people, and I wanted to try to capture that in the artwork because I do think it's a nice break from reality that people are missing a lot, especially in a very tough year like this year. So I wanted to do my best to bring some of that, Disney magic home. And it sounds cheesy, but I used to be in the college program like a million years ago in 2010. It's been 10 years now, holy cow. I worked as a janitor at Epcot over in Walt Disney World, and the job wasn't great, I'll be upfront about that, but the cool thing about it was when you're a janitor, you get to go anywhere you want. So you kind of get to see how the sausage is made in terms of like you can see backstage behind the rides, and you get to see rides before the park opens and after the park closes, and you get kind of a feel of how these things are really built. And some people, I think it would ruin their sense of the magic, but for me it kind of only reinforced that like, wow, so many amazing artists and creatives have worked together to make this thing, and how weird is it that people like go to a theme park to relive this, this Haunted Mansion story, for example, over and over and over, because it just brings out joy in people. So I took extra special care to try to make everything as accurate as possible, which was a challenge for me. I don't typically draw things like this. If you scroll back through my channel or my Instagram or my portfolio, I don't have a lot of environments like this or highly detailed objects like this or scenes like this. So this was way out of my comfort zone in terms of art. But I think overall it looks pretty successful, and the way Dan brought it to life with his animation, I'll put a brief clip of it here at the end. The way it all came together with the music and the animation, I was just like blown away by the final product. So I'll put a card up to that in the corner. Please go check that out. The music is really cool. It's a really cool thing to put on your TV for Halloween if you need some cool background ambiance and you're a Disney fan, or you just want to see some cool art on your screen while some chill music plays in the background. It's good to put on too. So again, it was super fun to work on this piece and bring some of that Haunted Mansion magic to YouTube in collaboration with a friend of mine. It was really fun, and I hope to work on a couple more of these in the future for like the Enchanted Tiki Room or Pirates or everybody's favorite rides. I would love to do a series of these. It would be so fun to work on those. So look forward to those in the future. But for now, enjoy Haunted Mansion. It's the best time of year to enjoy things like this. So go be spooky, get your Haunted Mansion on, and I will see you all in next week's video. Peace.